shifting loyalties in our political landscape. How will that shape up? And Pakatan Harapan names Anwar Ibrahim as PM candidate for GE15. That's coming up. A new political realignment is in the making. That's according to Datuk Sri Abdul Hadi Awang, who said in response to an audio recording allegedly between UMNO and PKR presidents Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim. The past president, however, reiterated that the party would reject cooperating with UMNO if this alignment was to materialize. Political analyst at University Technology Mara, Mujibu Abdul Muiz, says while nothing is impossible, he views that an UMNO-PKR partnership won't come without a price.
If we look at the dynamism of Malaysian politics, any collaboration is actually possible at this moment. But somehow we don't know whether the collaboration will be formed before the election or during the election or after the election.
One of the biggest obstacles facing this potential collaboration are the opposing ideologies, particularly among grassroots members.
Bias for the Malay, because the Malay will strongly agree that they have strong and, can we say, consolidated Malay Islam political collaboration in terms of this UMNO PAS as well as Bersatu. But somehow, when you go beyond a political collaboration or political accommodation between this political party, it is difficult for you to say that this kind of collaboration will gain momentum in the election. And of course, in order to build a government, it is difficult to sell Malay Islam alone in this multiracial country.
Pakatan Harapan has again nominated opposition leader Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim as its next Prime Minister candidate. In a statement today, the coalition said that the decision has been finalized during a two-day leaders' retreat in Port Dickson in what they call as the Port Dickson Resolution.
The coalition also urged Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin to immediately advise the Yang di-Pertuan Agong to reconvene Parliament and end the current state of emergency. The retreat in Port Dickson was attended by all the leaders of the coalition's component parties, as well as the leaders from states that they are in control, which are Penang, Selangor and Negeri Sembilan.
Has our politics been stuck in an endless loop without possibility of a breakthrough since GE14? Tonight on Consider This, we speak to our panelists why succession planning is not in our political culture. The government will decide on whether Malaysia can use the AstraZeneca vaccine in 2 weeks' time. Khairi Jamaluddin said the government will scrutinize any additional information to be tabled by the panel of experts from the Health Ministry before making any decision.
He added that the government took note of the statement made by the European Medicines Agency on April 7th that listed blood clot as a very rare side effect of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Khairi urged the public not to be worried about any reports pertaining to the vaccine, which is scheduled to arrive next month, as the JKJAV has enough time to decide on whether to use the vaccine or not. About 86.3% or 1,126 cases of the total 1,304 deaths due to the COVID-19 pandemic recorded until last Wednesday were those with a history of comorbid diseases. These include people with high blood pressure, diabetes or the elderly. Health Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Adam Babar said these non-communicable diseases are related to food, diet and nutrition, and that the risk of comorbid death is high when infected with COVID-19.
Malaysia agreed to dispatch 50,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine to Bosnia and other countries not prioritized through the COVAX facility. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Datuk Sri Muhammad Rizwan, assured this will not affect the country's quota or schedule for the vaccine. However, as Malaysia is at its early stages of vaccination, is this the right move? Azrul Muhammad Khalib, CEO of Galen Centre for Health and Social Policy, weighs in.
Action such as donating vaccines to another country, especially one which is desperate and in need, implemented in the name of humanitarianism and compassion during this time of global crisis, can only be a good deed. we may not be like India, which is capable of donating millions of doses of vaccine to its neighbors as part of vaccine diplomacy. But when someone calls us for help, we should do what we can to do so. I mean, honestly, 50,000 doses of a vaccine, which is likely to be a 2-dose regimen, would be enough for only 25,000 individuals. And it's probably going to come from some of that Sinovac vaccine that Pharmaniaga is doing for fill and finish. This is arguably a small quantity for which we lose very little, but earn a great deal in goodwill. But for Bosnia-Herzegovina, though, I have to stress, it would mean that at least 25,000 of its essential healthcare workers will be able to be protected against COVID-19. So Malaysia's donation will save lives.
Azrul assured the public not to worry about our vaccine supply and that Malaysia is leading by example with this initiative.
We have been assured by the government that there will be more stocks of the vaccines that Malaysia has ordered coming in the near future. Malaysia has, in fact, purchased a few vaccines, has purchased its own allotment of vaccines from the COVAX initiative. But even then, the earliest that could possibly come is in June. However, in the next couple of months, we will be seeing more of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, as well as the Sinovac vaccines, which are currently being produced by Pharmaniaga through its fill and finish production line. Well, Malaysia in the past has always tried to lead by example, especially when it comes to humanitarian gestures, but also in its ability for countries to look at Malaysia and trust that Malaysia can do the right thing. And this is one instance from a country that Malaysia has helped in the past, for which it is now reaching out to Malaysia for assistance.
We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
Untuk memastikan Malaysia ada ke depan dan maju. Induknya adalah Melayu.
Balik kepada Islam. Orang yang membuat polisi.
Kalau itu yang dikehendaki, fine. Mungkin kita berbeza pandangan.
Tapi kita mempunyai kuasa yang boleh menentukan budaya di masa hadapan.
Polisi yang mesra wanita sudah tentu dia akan datang daripada pemimpin wanita.
Untuk memastikan Malaysia ada ke depan dan maju. Induk.
Welcome back. We are taking a closer look into addressing the root cause of corruption within civil sector. This is in light of the revelation of a number of syndicates uncovered by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission. What more can be done to strengthen MACC in their efforts to rid corruption? Cynthia Gabriel, founding and executive director of Centre to Combat Corruption and Cronyism, weighs in.
The MACC is strengthened to actually allow it to go after individuals with unexplained wealth or suspicious wealth. Currently, there needs to be an ongoing case before they can actually raid or investigate a particular individual. There are some other jurisdictions, for example, in India, Hong Kong, in which if there is already a suspicion raised or a flag raised over an individual or a civil servant, for example, whose salary is XXX, but is living way beyond his or her means and, has luxury cars, multiple houses, land, condominiums, etc., then that itself should actually give MACC the impetus, the mandate to go after individuals like this. And so for that, Section 36 of the MACC Act will actually need to be amended and strengthened. And this is something that we have worked with the Bar Council and the MACC as well to look at different aspects of the legislation that can help strengthen their enforcement work. The other that has been mooted for a long time is for the Auditor General that actually picks up random audits of public service procurement and so on, to be strengthened so that the Auditor General remains independent, is not answerable directly to any ministry, and is also able to challenge many of the procurement methods before it is too late, because right now an audit is carried out after the project is completed, after possible transgressions could have occurred.
Cynthia also urged for the establishment of procurement law that will provide heavier penalties against corruptors.
Such malpractice, transgression and outright corruption acts like this would have to be punished, in which a particular civil servant that may have been found to have aided the cartels must be dealt with suspensions or salary cuts or even a potential sack, depending on the gravity of the crime. So right now, there isn't any kind of public procurement law. We have many good regulations, very tight regulations, but these regulations are not legally binding. And so this is where I think the administration, the government, and the public institutions must actually step up on this entire episode. If not, it will keep occurring. And we have more and more cartels being exposed. And I feel that the MACC deserves so much praise. The MACC deserves so much more in terms of beefing up their law enforcement efforts to actually go after this corrupted criminal.
On to international headlines. Prince Philip, who served as consort to his wife Queen Elizabeth II for more than 60 years, has died at the age of 99. The Duke had suffered failing health in recent years and retired from royal duties in 2017. Buckingham Palace said Prince Philip passed away peacefully at Windsor Castle this morning. He spent a month in the hospital earlier this year before being released on March 16 to return to Windsor Castle. Prince Philip, also known as the Duke of Edinburgh, married Elizabeth in 1947 and was the longest-serving consort in British history. Meanwhile, Indonesia's weather agency warned on Friday that a second tropical cyclone named Odette in the space of a week could trigger floods and landslides in more central areas. This is after Cyclone Saraya killed over 163 people in eastern parts of the country.
The head of Indonesia's weather agency said a new cyclone was gaining traction and could hit Lampung province on the island of Sumatra, provinces of East Java and Central Java, and the island of Bali. While Odette was not expected to be as destructive as Saraya, it could generate tidal surges as high as 6 meters in the southern Indian Ocean near Java and Bali. People are advised to remain cautious of heavy winds and rains in some areas, as well as threats of floods, landslides and flash floods. Saraya damaged thousands of homes and displaced over 22,800 people. The latest data from Indonesia's National Disaster Mitigation Agency reported 45 people remain missing.
India reported another record number of COVID-19 cases and deaths on Friday. The second most populous country reported almost 132,000 cases with 780 deaths, highest in more than 5 months.
As the country struggles with a deadly second wave, states also grapple with its immunization drive due to shortage of vaccine doses. Vaccination centres have been shut in Mumbai and parts of Kolhapur, Sangli and Satara districts. More than 90 million doses of 2 approved vaccines, AstraZeneca's Covishield and one by local company Bharat Biotech's Covaxin, were given so far.
Over a dozen hospitals in Bangkok suspended COVID-19 testings due to shortages of supplies as cases surged in the city. Bangkok is now the epicenter of a new outbreak in Thailand, with cases increasing from a few dozens a day to hundreds a day. On Friday, the country reported 559 new COVID-19 cases and 1 death. The government has been hosting its own mass testing in districts of Bangkok, where clusters have been reported, mostly involving bars or entertainment venues. Thailand confirmed the presence of the highly transmissible variant B117, first identified in Britain. That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news updates on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines on astroawani.com and Astro AWANI app. I'm Saraya Mia. We'll see you again.